MTDCNC podcast, sponsored by Langley Alloys. Unique metals for demanding applications, providing first-class performance and an international service.
Welcome to the MTDCNC podcast. My name is Rowan Easter-Robinson. I'm a proud member of the MTDCNC team and your host today for the podcast. Today we're here in Tamworth, a company called Brown & Holmes. We're going to be talking to two distinguished engineers, and we're going to be discussing a lot of different things about the company, about the global reach they've got, about the reputation they've got for bespoke custom fixturing. Before we dive into the topics today, I'd like to say thank you to Langley Alloys for sponsoring all of our MTDCNC podcasts. They supply and have been developing special alloys since the 1930s and 40s. Have some absolutely fascinating engineering knowledge. I've been talking to Rodney. I've had the pleasure of talking to Rodney from Langley Alloys a lot recently. There'll be some technical corners coming out soon, all about the different grades that they supply. So if you're interested you need Inconels, super duplexes, specialist stainless steel alloys, then make sure you get in touch with Langley Alloys. Perfect. So that takes us, without further ado, welcome to both of our guests. We've got Josh Owen, first of all, and Mick Waller. So welcome, guys.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah, afternoon. I managed to drag you away from your very busy work schedules. Thank you for donating your time to the MTDCNC podcast.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, perfect. So first of all, Mick, could you give us a quick introduction to who you are and what you do here at Brown & Holmes?
Yeah, certainly. I'm the engineering manager. I've been here 18 years, started off as one of the design team. Back in the day then it wasn't much of a team. There was two of us. Been there since, worked through the design team, helped the design team to grow to what it is today, manage the design team, and then I've taken on other responsibilities as well as still managing the design team as the engineering manager. I've got experience in jig and fixture design prior to that, with another 20 years before I worked here, working in the same field for a different company.
So a hell of a lot. So 38 years total experience in jig and fixture design. Yeah. Wow, it's probably not much you don't know. I'm going to be putting that to the test today, hopefully.
Doesn't look like I could have been in it for 38 years.
No, you look pretty good. You look pretty good, to be fair. Yeah, Josh, admittedly slightly better looking, but obviously not. No, if you can't see, Mick's got a fantastic beard right now, which his wife's not very happy with, but it's amazing. And Josh, so yeah, give us an introduction, please.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a design engineer at Brown & Holmes. I've worked here for 12 and a half years now. I graduated uni doing product design, which is a slightly different field, but I spent a year here during placement and then was offered employment following graduation. I've sort of learned through experience on the job, with helping hand from management and staff, colleagues. So it's been a learning curve, but I've enjoyed every minute of being here.
Yeah, I bet it has. I mean, product design, there's some similarities. You are designing products, but you're designing super precise engineering products compared to like you do like a washing up bottle or like a phone case or a different kind of product. You need a lot more mechanical expertise, I guess, don't you, in this field?
Correct. And that's with learning from colleagues and gaining experience on the job as such.
Yeah, the experts surrounding you every day in the office. That's brilliant. So first of all, we're going to dive into the design you guys do. Is all about, it's custom fixturing. It's mostly Brown & Holmes kind of bread and butter. Now, what is it that Brown & Holmes do? What is custom fixturing?
Yeah, I mean, the designs that the design team get involved in is bespoke fixturing, which is product specific. But that isn't specific to an industry. We work across all sort of areas of mechanical engineering sort of thing, from small medical to large, more agricultural type solutions and more high precision in aerospace and power generation as well. So, but bespoke fixturing is for when parts don't fit in a standard chuck or standard vise.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and those kinds of parts that don't fit in a standard chuck, they, like you say, can be across sectors. But I guess the unifying feature of them is that they're a weird shape. There might be a strange profile you want to hold on to access a certain part of the other part of the part.
Yeah, I think the unique thing about it, every job that we pick up has got problems. So the customers have come to us because they have an issue manufacturing a part. So every job we pick up is a problem to somebody else. And that's the nature of our business, solving problems.
Yeah, brilliant. So they're pulling their hair out because they're getting vibration, or they can't reach this part. They're going to do it in 50 ups rather than 2 ups because they've got to keep changing it round. And how do you identify one of those problem components that can be solved with custom fixturing?
I think quite often it's customers or machine tool manufacturers that come to us knowing that there's a problem there, sort of thing, and then we engineer out that problem, sort of thing. So not all the parts that we do are complex parts. There may be parts that are simple blocks that have numerous holes in them that companies are manufacturing now in a long-winded process, and we can put bespoke fixturing in place to reduce the manufacturing time of an item. So from taking it from going round a shop floor to several different machines for different operations, we can put fixturing in place where they can manufacture it on one machine in maybe 2 or 3 operations. So there's different aspects to the work holding. It could be for different reasons: complex part to hold, a difficult part to hold, a large part, a small part. They've all got their challenges,
Yeah.
but and then some of them are production aids. So we do fixturing that hold rectangular blocks, and just that's a production thing to get the number of operations down and the manufacturing time down, so that the parts can be manufactured cheaper.
So there's simple blocks that are easy to hold. For example, I guess some companies might choose to automate those large number of operations with some machine tending equipment or a gantry loading, some way to automatically load that part overnight. But if you've got a long-winded process already, trying to automate that, I guess, sounds like throwing money at a problem where you need to dig deeper and see that actually that part can be made in a completely different way. But unless you've got the imagination to think, well, custom fixturing could solve that.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And with everything we do, there's more than one way to do it. So, like I say, robot loading could answer certain solutions, but the investment in robot loading and that sort of application, that may outweigh the benefit of the cost, whereas the fixturing could be a cheaper solution and could give you quicker payback.
Brilliant. And Josh, how much imagination do you need to come up with kind of novel solutions? Is it quite a novel job day to day coming up with these custom fixturing, or do you have like a dictionary, a bank of stuff that's been done before, and you get, oh, well, this part looks a bit like this, and we'll just bring this design in and make a couple of tweaks? How inventive do you need to be?
Yeah, more so the latter. We're looking at experience or jobs that we've done previously and sort of implement them, tweak them slightly, but also how can we, like Mick says, improve the process, cut operations out, cut cost out of the job.
Yeah. Do you find that you're advising customers as much as to what to do with their process as much as just taking a specification and designing a fixture around it?
It dependent on the customer. Some have more knowledge than others in terms of historical processes that they want to adhere to, whereas others are more open to suggestions, and we can implement those and take those on board.
Yeah, some people, I guess, are stocky and this is the way we've done it. Just make me another one of these fixtures, please.
Yes.
Is that a barrier, do you think, for those engineering companies themselves to be more productive?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they're perhaps unwilling to change the way they do things.
Yeah. Do you try and convince them a little bit? Try and say, well, we could do it like this. You were perfectly happy to do the easy job or the obvious job, but do you try and convince them to go down different directions?
Yeah, we do. Whether we have much success,
That's the remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Interesting. And that's one thing I love about engineering is the fact that it's not necessarily seen as a creative subject, but it can really be the biggest benefits can come out of finding the most creative solutions to problems, maybe.
Yeah, I think Josh was maybe sort of being diplomatic there. I think that there is.
He doesn't know what he can say yet. He's figuring it out.
There is quite a lot of innovation that goes into design, sort of thing. Yes, we do have principles, and there is basic principles that you adhere to with all fixture design, sort of thing. But there still needs to be that level of these guys start with a blank sheet of paper, or a blank screen as it is nowadays, sort of thing. So they're starting from scratch, and obviously their experience and the experience of the team does give starting points, but also they do have to be sort of quite sort of innovative in what they're doing. So yeah.
Talking about moving from kind of the drafting room, which would have been full of people and big boards and A3 sheets and slide rules, to Brown and Holmes, you've got a small office. It's not big, it's not a huge office. It's actually medium sized, but there's maybe six
full-time design engineers working under me. Yeah.
Which is and using modern CAD packages, which I've been around like a good CAD package has probably been around for 12 years that could do a lot of different things. How has that changed? I guess you lived through CAD basically, Josh. You've only known CAD. How easy do you think it is? I mean, if you was to compare it to drafting back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible leap forward what you can do. I mean, in the design team, there'll only be myself and one of the other senior designers that would have worked on drawing boards sort of thing. So when you see some of the solutions that we come up with now, you would sort of be fearful of how you could ever have done that on a drawing board. Clearly people did, because there's some complex engineering that's been about for a long time sort of thing, but certain tasks are made a lot easier using the latest computer technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh, what do you think about the use of CAD in engineering and being able to design the whole product and even simulate the whole product before you start even cutting a single piece of swarf out of the kind of the real material?
Yeah, it helps massively. I mean, going back to the drawing boards, I personally would have struggled to visualise how an assembly was built.
Yeah, me too.
Whereas now the 3D models, it's easier to distinguish where your issues are, where you're looking to change the product, or it's much easier. I have no experience in obviously on the drawing board, but yeah, it helps. It helps.
Yeah, you got interference checking.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of automated tools as well. But do you think it's quite easy to divorce the idea of the design in CAD from what happens down on the shop floor? It means there's quite a big disconnect maybe between what is in a designer's head and what is manufacturable, both viably from a kind of a time point of view and also from a commercial point of view.
Yes, correct. I mean, we have reviews post coming up with a concept or a finalised design, which we get the guys on the shop floor involved, and then we'll have discussions on how we're going to produce an element or the assembly, and that sort of goes from there. Anything that then changes then gets implemented in the design.
Yeah, you always need a dialogue between the workshop and the design house, don't you?
Yes, correct, yeah. Again, with the experience the guys have on the shop floor, it always helps, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because design for manufacture is slightly different from I guess, just designing the perfect objects. It's never going to be perfect. You need to think about tolerances and stack ups and this and that.
Yeah, it's not just that as well. I mean, we a lot of the time we design into a cost as well, sort of thing. So the customer has got a budget, he's probably had a quote, so we're constrained by cost as well. So there's a lot of experience that goes into the thought process that these guys do. Design for manufacture, design for assembly, and designing to a cost sort of thing. So yeah, with going back to the CAD, you can design anything on the CAD, anything you like, but you've got to bear in mind you've got to make it, and you've got to make it to a cost as well.
That's amazing. There's 3 different kind of points you've got to optimize for equally.
Yes.
Can't put a bolt in behind a plate and think, well, I'm going to assemble this first and that second.
Yeah.
And then you find, well, I guess all the parts are out on the machine, on the assembly station. You can't even assemble it.
That's right. Yeah.
So I can see it's hard to start from scratch doing stuff like that. And that's why I think Brown and Holmes probably have such a strong heritage, and why you need companies like this with that engineering experience, because you can't just start up a company, say, we're going to design this fixture, this complex fixture, and be able to get it on cost, assemblable and manufacturable within a certain time frame for a customer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're all challenging aspects of a design. They are. Yeah.
I'm not trying to discourage people from designing their own fixtures, but it's quite hard.
It is. Yeah. And you do see some shocking examples of attempts at it as well. To be fair, but yeah.
I'm sure you've got a very high standard though, Mick, in your years in the business.
I think Brown and Holmes as a whole have got a very high standard, and the business takes pride in the product that we put out in the marketplace.
So you should. I mean, you've seen some of the examples on the workshop floor, which unfortunately we can't film them all because there's NDAs, there's sensitivities.
Yeah.
And a little bit later in the podcast, it's interesting to probably find out what it's like working on sensitive projects, so whether it makes it a little bit harder, and what advice you give to other companies looking at working with kind of more sensitive customers. But we're also going to move on from fixturing to kind of the business as a whole. Brown Holmes have a few other kind of arrows to your quiver. There's the couple of extra products that you also provide, as well as the custom bespoke products.
Yeah. We sell with the exclusive agent for Mistbuster in the UK, which is mist extraction for modern machine tools, which have recently become legislation in the workplace for health and safety and the operator's environment, making it a more pleasant place for people to work. That mist extraction now on enclosed machines is an essential part of everyday life, and HSC are starting to enforce that companies are doing that now. So that's becoming a big area of our business, and HSC, for the right reasons, are helping us sell that product. So we have a team of guys that work on the sort of specification of those units and install and servicing and support for those units going forward, because there can be quite a high maintenance product sort of thing. So
interesting, because filters need to get changed out, I guess.
Yeah, the particular product that we use, the filters you can clean the filters with electrostatic filter, so you can clean those filters. You don't need to be purchasing new filters all the time, so which is one big advantage of the Mistbuster over competition. Yeah.
Interesting. And we can talk about them a little more detail, but also use the word enforced. What does that mean? It's quite a strong word. They see enforcing legislation.
Yeah. I think now, listening to what some customers are coming and telling us, they're being visited by HSC. They're being warned and given opportunity, and having to demonstrate that they have a plan in place to fit mist extraction. And on a second visit, if that hasn't been done, they literally have the power to shut these guys down that are not complying with the latest regulations. So
put a padlock on the bay doors.
That's right. Yeah. Unfortunately, which is it's tough, but you can see the reasons that they're being enforced, sort of thing. So
businesses have to be very careful and very aware of what's happening on the shop floor, and make sure that they're following the right legislation.
Yeah, they need to be mindful that their employees' health is at risk if these latest legislation isn't being adhered to. Yeah,
I think it's fantastic that the operators' health and safety have been taken so seriously. Can it be measured in some ways, the way that these operators are being exposed?
It is. Yeah, we did particular install for a customer where it wasn't HSC. They took it upon themselves because they knew they were getting operators that were complaining about the effects of the mist, the coolant in the air when they were opening the machine tool doors. So they had a company in that monitored the amount of vapour and moisture that was in the air, and they analysed that over a period of time. We put some equipment in place, and the reduction was massive and exceeded all their expectations. And actually, the department that was in, they won a global award for innovation in that department for the quality, the amount they improved the air quality around those machines for the operators.
Yeah, and air quality is a bigger issue, I guess, across the board, even in public spaces as well, in the streets and our cities as well. So very, very brilliant that you guys are helping support that with the Mistbuster product.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then there's another engineering product you guys are...
Atlin Steadies. We do a lot of work for Atlin Steadies, which are fitted on lathes and things, so we can take their standard product and we can design special brackets for that to be fitted to customers' machines, or the standard product we can resell, service and support that product as well. So
So for big turn components that need a big steady.
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic. Also, I find it quite interesting. I forgot to say congratulations on a brand new site in Derby.
Derby, yes.
That opened last year. When did it open? What's it going to be doing?
Yeah, it opened Q4 sometime last year officially, sort of thing. So we've moved some mechanical assembly and electrical work into that new facility. So there's a number of guys there from mechanical engineers, quality engineers and electricians that are working on site that supports control cabinets for various industries and supporting industries that go into MOD products generally, but also support for nuclear industry and anywhere like that. So it's quite a specialist area. So we decided that it needed its own facility, and it had its own unique requirements, which is different to the core business of Brown and Holmes. So
definitely.
they're going from success to success there at the moment, taking on board new customers. So it's good.
That's fantastic. I remember being quite busy last year. We came here, you had lots of different products around being assembled. So you're moving some of those out to a new site to get a lot more space.
Yeah, I mean, all the mechanical items are still manufactured here. So that's bringing a new set of challenges, and has meant we've had some shift in staff that have moved to manage the manufacture of items here that are then assembled at a different site, which brings its challenges. So we have
The different temperatures.
different temperatures. It's just knowing where parts are is a big thing, and you got project engineers over in Derby calling for bits. And when we first started, we had people travelling backwards and forwards and looking at where's these parts and where have they gone. But we have a guy.
Braving the northern weather.
That's right. Yes, as far north as Derby. Yes, yeah.
Sheffield, so that's nowhere near north. Rather in Sheffield, to be fair.
Yeah, so we have a guy on site that now works all the time liaising between the two businesses, letting Derby know where their parts are in manufacturing and when they're ready to collect and deliver, etc. So
Probably a surprisingly big jump to just split from one site to two sites, because one site you just walk around the corner, pick up some bolts for a component, what
Yes.
you need, but an element, but then you suddenly got delivery times. There's big friction between trying to deliver between these two places when you realise, shoot, we need the element right now, and it's down the other site.
yeah, and I think it's refocused some quality as well, because if there's slight things that are missing, if you've just got to go next door to the machine shop to have an old put in sort of thing, it's not a problem. But if you come in transport back, it's not so much the it's not so much the distance, it's the time to get that rectified. Yeah.
Exactly. So it starts to show the little holes, little things, the processes that could be improved.
Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant. Cool. So anyway, congratulations. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll move on to we talked about today. So we were here to do some filming. We did a case study on a fascinating. It's not a very big fixture, but there's a lot going on there to hold a turbine blade. And that's going all the way over to Singapore. This is a project that's been going. These fixtures have been used for a long time now. Could you give us a bit of information that people who are definitely watch the video, because you'll see a lot more of the fixture. But Mick, if you could give us a quick rundown of that case study and illustrate the global reach of Brown and Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, we've worked for a number of years with overseas customers, sort of thing. So that product, it started work in the UK. It's an American-based company that got in touch with UK manufacturers, and we worked in partnership with a couple of other businesses to get that product up and running. We proved it out in the UK initially with a machine that was set up at one of our partner sites. We then did further trials out in Italy before it leapfrogged down to Singapore, and now there's a whole factory down in Singapore that's got a large number of machine tools that have exclusively got Brown and Holmes fixtures on, manufacturing two variants of different aerofoil blades, sort of thing. So, and we've supported that and continue to support it. They're still buying fixtures now as the product grows and develops, and the requirements for that, their production needs are increasing. So the volume of fixtures that they've got is growing as well, sort of thing. So I think
there's kind of 2 points that I take away from that, which is that not only is it the repeatability of the fixturing that means they need they being used in over such a long period, they've not found an alternative. This Brown and Holmes fixture gives them the repeatability, the speed of changeover, everything they need from that piece of work holding. But also the fact that they're buying more and more means that they can't find them anywhere else. There's no other provider of this kind of product anywhere near Singapore, which is like halfway around the world. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing to me when I visited there that for them to get anything done out there that is not product manufactured. So they're very good at manufacturing components that their production engineering has probably been done either in the UK or in the States by engineers with a lot of experience, whereas the factories that they have set up are very much production facilities. They're there And I'm not saying they're not a skilled workforce, because they're still engineers. But if you wanted them to make a screw instead of a very complex turbine blade, they wouldn't be able to do it. They've not got the facilities, they've not got the machine tools or the experience to those parts
day in, day out,
yeah,
and maintain that consistent process.
That's exactly right. And even to the extent of having those fixtures serviced, we've been over a couple of times and trained their maintenance staff. So they've got maintenance staff on site that have done that work, and they've got that experience. But externally from the business, there's not even anywhere that can service those fixtures. So if there's any major servicing required on them, like I say, they've been in production for 10 years, so there's wear and tear after 10 years sort of thing. So so they do come back here for service and then return fully fit for another 10 years, hopefully.
Can you pack me in the box with them, please?
It's very tight in the box.
I'm a contortionist.
And it is a long way to go in a box.
Well, I'll pack a few Snickers with me.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And Josh, what do you think it's like? Is it quite interesting working on projects that are going to be going overseas? Do you personally work on stuff that goes outside of the UK?
Yes, a few times we've did a fixture for a company in China, so that was interesting, coming in for a 6:00 a.m. conference call at one point.
Nice. Love a good time zone.
But yeah, it's interesting, brings a different element, but essentially it's still a fixture at the end of the day. And the fundamentals are there to follow.
Yeah, in the same way that I guess you now split into different sites, there's a bit of friction with that, and Derby's only maybe an hour away. With it working for a company in China, which is time zone changes and that physical distance, does that make it much harder to kind of negotiate what the engineering requirements are and what they need you to produce?
Not necessarily. The design brief is still pretty much the same. Essentially that's how it is.
But since they're being complex fixtures, I guess there's never, even the design brief that they give you to start with can never maybe fully capture what you might need to know. I don't know, maybe the quantities you're doing in a day, or the changeover times that you need, or what tools the operators have access to, or what angle the operators are loading the parts up from. Is there sometimes, I guess, design briefs, do they always capture exactly what you need?
The basics are there. It's just then as we're designing, or through the initial design process, then we're working out what information or further information we then need to know or confirm with customers, and we'll have subsequent reviews to discuss all that information to make sure everything's bottomed out before the fixture's designed, manufactured, especially when it's the other side of the world. It's important that it is correct.
Exactly. It must feel pretty good to send products that you've designed over to China and other places.
Yeah, for sure. Even seeing it on the shop floor when you've designed it from scratch and then you see it built, it's rewarding.
Yeah, the satisfaction from seeing it on a computer screen and seeing it in real life as well.
Mm-hmm,
Most of us live our lives on the screen, so it's nice to produce something in real life, definitely. Brilliant. Have you been able to do any trips to go prove out these work holdings? Potential?
If there was a trip to China, Josh should be on that one.
Josh should be on it.
I don't fancy China. So.
Brilliant. There's no witnesses except us three, and everyone listens to the podcast right now, so that's definitely not legally binding. Brilliant. And so then, just out of interest, what kind of proportion, to work with the global reach of Brown & Holmes, you guys are very solidly, there's a very solid reputation here in the UK as well. We talked about, off podcast, talked about Rolls-Royce being a very solid customer of yours. How strong is the customer base in the UK, and what kind of proportion of that is Brown & Holmes' customer base?
It's probably quite difficult to say, because I'm sure there's major engineering companies in the UK that are consuming fixtures that we don't even know about, sort of thing. So there's a lot of different industries that maybe have their own specialist fixture suppliers and that. But I think in the UK, with the type of fixturing we do, there's probably sort of 3 or 4 main players in that game, and we know all of them, and we work with them and against them, sort of thing. We know we're bidding against them, sort of thing. So,
market, I guess you have to know them quite well.
Yeah, and I think as daft as it sounds, we support fixtures globally, but if you look at our sort of customer base within the UK, a lot of it is based quite close to where we are in the Midlands, but that has probably got something to do with the strong engineering heritage in this area, sort of thing. But you're going further afield, the further you go away from Brown and Holmes offices in Tamworth, the further you go away, our customers thin out as you get across the UK, which is it's a strange thing, but it's something that we've noticed and analysed in the past sort of 12 months, really.
I've noticed. Living in Sheffield, I have to drive 2 hours down south quite a lot, down Coventry, Nuneaton, Birmingham. There's so much engineering happening down here.
Yeah.
There's a lot in Sheffield as well, but it's amazing how much you find just down a little back road and outside of Nuneaton somewhere. Brilliant. And so I think we should move on to maybe talking about not the sensitive work you do, because it's sensitive, we can't talk about it, but the fact that you guys do a lot of sensitive work, and what's it like working with, I mean, there's NDAs, people have experience with those, but is it harder working on sensitive projects day in, day out?
I think the first thing to understand is that there's a number of different ways in which products can be sensitive. So that can be, I mean, motorsport's a big thing. So if you're working for one of the F1 teams and another one of the F1 teams finds out you're working for them, it becomes very difficult in the workplace, sort of thing. So anywhere where there's sort of a competitive edge to products that you're supplying, it becomes very difficult to work for more than one of those types of companies.
How do they make it difficult?
It's just you don't become a favourable supplier, sort of thing, and then actually getting the work becomes very challenging, sort of thing. So if you were working for any of the motorsport sort of clients, you're very well advised to keep that quiet, sort of thing, and not advertise the fact.
Like a jealous lover.
They can be, and they obviously have concerns of leaking the slightest bit of technical advantage to one of their competitors, sort of thing. But clearly all those types of products are controlled very closely by NDAs.
Yeah, absolutely, because that competition means a hell of a lot in terms of prestige and obviously the money, the prize money as well.
Yeah. And then there's sort of other areas where MOD work is critical and secretive for other reasons. And again, the nuclear industry, again, working for companies within the nuclear supply chain, that has other sort of consequences if things go wrong or if parts go amiss, sort of thing. So there's a number of different areas that we work in where confidentiality is critical to what we're doing.
I do think that sensitivity has been increasing over time. Do you think like security tightening up?
It has from our perspective. That's because we've always tried to work across a diverse business sector, sort of thing. So we try and support as many sort of different industries that are cutting metal, sort of thing. So we've recently managed to make inroads into the medical sort of manufacturers, and again they're very sensitive about sharing what they're doing against what another medical manufacturing company is doing, sort of thing. So
the corporate competition as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it brings different challenges for the different industries.
Have you had to sign the official Secrets Act, Josh?
Not personally.
That's why you can talk to us today.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what's it like for you? I mean, is it interesting working on stuff that it feels kind of like hush-hush, kind of? It's interesting and probably quite exciting.
It is, and you don't really know what the product is, to be honest. You're not better off not knowing, to be honest.
Yeah, you're definitely better off. Yeah, I would be definitely after a couple of tequilas. Yeah, it's interesting because I guess at the end of the day, these are all fixtures to help you cut a metal component better. They're not bad, they're not good. They are just objects, metal objects. So you can pour your engineering heart and soul into making the fixtures as good as possible without having to know what the end result is.
Yeah, that's it. Correct. Yeah.
Interesting, really interesting, brilliant. And you guys been working. Is it 75 years this year?
No, it's over 75 years now. I think we're probably getting close to. It might be 80 years next year. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's still privately owned business. So yes, yeah.
But it's still going strong. And yet, almost 80 years is a long time to be doing for any company to run, let alone to be doing this kind of really high tech engineering activities when you have to keep adopting newer and newer technology. I mean, Brown & Holmes, I guess, would have seen obviously the rise of CNC, would have had to jump on the rise of CNC, moving from drafting to CAD CAM. And what do you think has been the most important kind of leaps in productivity for Brown and Holmes, probably over the last 8 years? I mean, I know neither of you were around for the start.
There's some interesting photos of Kevin and Carl, the current owners, when they both started here as apprentices. They're
lifelong members.
They've both only worked here, yes. So they both started as apprentices at Brown and Holmes, and like I say, there's some interesting photos of them back in the day.
Big flares. I
think there's probably there's one particular photo of Carl which you won't be pleased about sharing the knowledge of, in some quite small running shorts, let's say.
Really?
Yes,
neon yellow, black and white, so you can't tell what colour it is. Bright pink. Brilliant. Well, I'm sure people have to come on site to Brown and Holmes to see that.
That's right. Yeah,
we can't legally share. Brilliant. Yeah. So a long time, and hopefully the future looks bright. Brand new site in Derby. And how do you think that the work's going to be changing and more technology? Because we were talking off camera, maybe the work you do, very one-off, very bespoke, very precise, doesn't really lend itself to lots of automation, I guess, in the manufacturing side, does it?
Yeah, I think one of the big challenges that we have is the older machines that we still have. The operators for those types of machines are sort of becoming rarer and rarer, sort of thing. I mean, Josh's dad retired from the business last year. How many years?
48 years.
Congratulations to your dad. That's impressive, really impressive.
So replacing that sort of skilled engineer, because those, let's say, traditional engineering skills, they're not taught anymore, sort of thing. I mean, people now in engineering learn on CNC machines. So the older manual machines, we know that they're going to have to be replaced with CNC where we can, and we're constantly looking at investment into new machine tools, and I think that's how things will move, and there'll be new technology. We have 2 polymer additive machines on site, and I'm sure before very long we'll have metal additive as well, sort of thing. So we'll just move with the times and change with the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess with we were talking about design for manufacture a while ago, and you could start designing fixtures that would previously not be manufacturable to reduce assembly counts, bill of materials counts, and whatnot.
Yeah, that's when things all start going very crazy when you're using additive manufacture. And to be fair, the design team and the guys in there will admit to it as well. It's a totally different approach designing a part for additive manufacture against conventional, because you can be a lot more creative. And when we first started using additive parts, they look like machine parts because we're not used to designing in that way. So we're still getting to grips with designing additive parts. Yeah,
you have to throw out the whole machined parts playbook.
Yep.
Can't have flanges and bolts and fasteners. Get rid of all the fasteners, make it one piece, I guess.
Yeah, correct. And also they're in incredibly quick turnaround time as well. We could print parts in a day. Design it in the morning, print them in the afternoon, or the turnaround times are very quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think, Josh? What do you think the timescales look like to start seeing for customers of Brown and Holmes, current customers of Brown and Holmes, to start seeing more additive parts in their fixturing?
We try to encourage the use of it. Again, old school engineers stuck in their own ways are a bit reluctant to do so, but we're always trying to optimise the use of 3D printed parts.
Yeah, brilliant. And do you think it's a bit of a challenge to have the creativity to use that to the technology to its best ability? Now, how much learning you guys need to do internally to make it work?
It is. I mean, perhaps stuck in the ways a little bit with conventional machining, which I've hopefully progressed recently using additive processes. But yeah, it's it gives you plenty of options going forward to be more innovative with product design.
You've got to forget everything you knew about designing a product to stick on a mill or a lathe. Really interesting.
Yeah, I think we spoke about the fundamentals of design for manufacture, design for assembly, designing to a budget. With an additive part, then design for budget becomes totally different, because if you're machining a block of metal, every bit of that metal that you machine away costs you money. Whereas with an additive part, it's totally the inverse. Yeah, it's inverse of that. So you can make things a far more complicated shape to use less material, and it becomes cheaper, where the inverse is opposite for a conventional machine part. The more machining you put into it, the more expensive it is, sort of thing. So it is.
It's the economics on its head.
Totally, yeah.
Wow. So you've got to change your cost models to reflect that when you start quoting customers.
Yeah.
Could make you potentially wildly more competitive if you were the first company to adopt that new tech and use it effectively.
Yeah, for sure.
Fascinating. Okay. Well, that's everything on my list. That's all the topics I wanted to talk about. That was really, really fascinating, guys. Thank you very much for your time on the podcast. Before we go, I'd like to just say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Langley Alloys. Again, they are fascinating suppliers, got a huge amount of knowledge in super duplexes, Inconels, 32760. They invented Ferradium 255, which was the first super duplex a long time ago for various applications. So if you're in oil and gas, subsea, downhole components, naval applications, marine, aerospace, and you're in need of alloy 65, 95, all these very specialist alloys, make sure you check out Langley Alloys. They've got loads of different options available. And also got a brand new product we talked about recently, which is, I think it's alloy 925, is now available in tube form, which is very specific niche requirement. But yeah, make sure you check those guys out. So yeah, that's it. I think we're done with the podcast. Really fascinating to pick both your brains, guys. Hopefully we can get you on maybe next year. We'll have to find out what additive stuff you've been making. Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the MTDCNC podcast, sponsored by Langley Alloys, specialists in a wide range of exotic materials for any application for all your engineering needs.